And basically, the reason we do this is a lot of people can't make it live at the time, but all of these are posted on our website, so people can catch any monthly speaker from our website later. All right, Mike, I'm going to let you share your screen and get started.
All right, I just wanted to start and say thank you for having us here tonight. A little bit about myself. I actually grew up on a farm out towards Altamont, flower farm. And after spending some time, I went to Siena College, and after spending some time working down in New York, came back up here, and I was looking around for different opportunities. And growing up on a farm, we were lucky enough to have a nice garden and access to fresh food. But after spending time down in the city and moving back up here, I was looking for something that would do a little good in the world. And one of my friends said, you love to grow food, you love to eat food, you should check out Capital Roots. They have a really great mission. And my background was in marketing and design, and applied for a job here. Thought I was coming on to help with the website and marketing and a little bit of IT. And after starting about a month into my time here, the pandemic hit, and all of our focus was shifted to food access, making sure that our pantries, our community partners, basically anyone that we worked with was still able to get fresh, nutritious food, mostly local food. And I was sent out on our Vegemobile, it's essentially a farm stand on wheels that goes to elderly care facilities and food deserts and brings fresh food there. And so I was out driving around with that. I was making deliveries to pantries all across the capital region, and seeing the people who we were interacting with, and people who were preparing this food and making sure it got out to the community really just solidified, this was something that I felt strongly about and I wanted to continue to do. 4 years later, again, I still have this love for the organization and have been able to help in our growth. And some of the initiatives that I'll talk about today, I had my hand in helping with, and our new facility that just opened this past winter, we are so excited about. And yeah, I'd love to jump in and tell you a little bit about it. I'll share my screen here. I've got a little presentation that will help visualize some of the stuff I'm talking about. So let's make sure I get the right one shared here. Okay. All right. So this just shows in the middle here, that's the Urban Growth Center tucked right in the middle of downtown Troy. We're on River Street. And today I'm just going to talk. I don't think you can really, get a real view of our organization without learning about where we came from. So I want to talk a little bit about our history, the Urban Growth Center, which is our home base, the expansion that we built, and some of our work in healthy communities. Just here. So again, I think our history, it kind of explains the work we do today. So I have a really short video narrated by our CEO, Amy Klein, that'll give some information about how and why Capital Roots began.
Strong, that's the land movement had been building in America for nearly a decade. Many people were turning to gardening to feed their families. Inspired by this trend, Dean Lee, CEO of Gardenway, founded Capital District Community Gardens. With just 2 employees working out of an old storefront in Troy, we planned and put into action a network of 8 community gardens to help families grow their own food. As we made our way into the 1980s, we implemented a senior gardening program, and in 1981 purchased our first permanent garden site in Troy. The 80s were all about community involvement and self-reliance. advocates for community gardening at the state and national level. We were viewed as experts in our field. After just 10 years, 17 gardens with 200 plots, we started education classes and held our first and now famous spring brunch. In the 90s, the organization was maintaining community gardens and helping to beautify our city streets, fostering a sense of community. By the late 90s, we had planted nearly 200 trees in the city of Troy. The program was thriving, and soon other cities were using it as a model. In 1998, we made our way into Albany, acquiring 13 garden sites, bringing our total garden number to 29. By the end of the decade, we had 34 garden sites in Albany and Rensselaer counties, serving nearly 500 families. We were officially a regional organization. In 2000, we added Schenectady to our roster, adopting management of 5 existing community gardens. And in 2003, we found our home at 40 River Street in Troy, where the organization lived for the next 12 years. The move gave us room to grow, and over the next decade, our once small group grew to 7 distinct programs. 2004 brought the launch of the Squash Hunger Food Donation Program, which provided more than 6,000 pounds of fresh food to soup kitchens, pantries, and shelters in its first year. Today's history soon followed, introducing hundreds of city children to healthy food right in their classrooms. And in 2007, the Veggie-Mobile made its debut, bringing fresh produce to food insecure neighborhoods, serving tens of thousands of elderly, low-income, and disabled inner-city residents weekly. Veggie-Mobile became an icon for fresh food access in our region. It also became the national model for local markets. In 2009, we developed our Produce Project, a year-round job training program for inner-city youth. 2 years later, we partnered with local convenience stores in our Healthy Stores program, and we launched the Veggie-Mobile Sprout, expanding our reach to inner-city neighborhoods that lacked access to fresh food. Our family of programs expanded as we partnered with local physicians to get fresh produce to patients with diabetes and hypertension through VeggieRx. And we launched our online marketplace, the Virtual Veggie, which connects local farmers with consumers. In December of 2014, Capital District Community Gardens officially became Capital Roots. The name change was announced at the grand opening of the Urban Grow Center, our new headquarters and regional food hub, a project 10 years in the making. After 40 years, we have tremendous history to look back on, but more importantly, so much to look forward to. Over the next 5 years, the Urban Grow Center will cultivate our ability to increase programming and expand our reach in the capital region. But we can't do it alone. Fresh, affordable food is a right and not a privilege. Help us provide that right to everyone in our community. Help us grow the dream.
So as you can see, we've been pretty busy over the past nearly 50 years. Early on when we saw our community gardeners giving their excess food to neighbors and friends, it became apparent the impact it could have. At the time, food pantries and soup kitchens were mostly stocked with canned or dried foods, and nutritious foods were hard to come by. People would say food is food at that time, but the reality of it is when we had fresh food on the shelves, it would be the first to go. Our dozen food access programs that we developed are testament to that. And the green features that were built into our Urban Growth Center, when we requested them to the builders at the time, it was viewed as wasteful or cost prohibitive, and the impact that it's had shows otherwise. This is our Urban Growth Center here. I'm actually in that top middle window right now. So one of the first things, our porous pavement. On a sunny day, the Grove Center's porous pavement looks like a normal parking lot, but when the rain comes, water doesn't run off in sheets. It actually passes through, seeping down through its deep gravel base before reaching the soil. This diverts water from the sewer and keeps oils and fuels that drip through, basically reducing the impact on the river. It's only about 100 yards from us behind me, and this is an important feature of the building that again was looked at as prohibitive, and now it's one of our favorite things. The giant stormwater cistern in the front of the building collects all the rainwater, and it basically takes all the rainwater that is on the roof and all the runoff, and it collects it so that we can reuse it in the building. It actually is used in all of our toilets and to help irrigate the landscaping of the Grove Center. It cuts our freshwater use in half, and it also holds stormwater during rain events, reducing strain on the municipal sewer system, which, as many of you can probably know, it's not a great sewer system in Troy and many of the cities around us. Our bioretention rain garden. This is what greets you at the front of the Urban Grove Center. I was talking with Sarah, we'd love to have you join us for a tour of the facility. I can talk all day about this, but seeing it in person, I think really has an even greater impact. When large storms happen, our cistern overflows into the shallow bioretention basin. And, the stormwater that collects in this garden, it naturally seeps into the ground and is filtered by the plantings that we have here. The shrubs and flowers in the garden were chosen to create a pleasing landscape that act as an effective filter, and were also selections of species native to the wetlands of New York. All of this in our Grove Center here, it benefits the Hudson River. The antiquated sewer systems of the capital region collect runoff from streets and buildings, as well as sewer outflows. When it rains, even tiny amounts, sewage treatment plants are overwhelmed and send raw sewage into the river. This happens nearly 100 times a year, making our section of the Hudson one of its most polluted. Simple acts like disconnecting roof drains and creating rain gardens are ways that homeowners and businesses can help ease the strain on this system. The suite of technologies that we employ here at the Grove Center mean that in rain events of up to an inch, not a drop of our runoff reaches the sewer. With the Hudson less than 100 yards from our door, we think that's part of being a good neighbor to our aquatic ecosystem. And one of my favorite parts, our green roof. The Grove Center's green living roof does more than keep out the weather. Its 1,600-foot square mix of native and drought-resistant plants provide habitat for birds and insects. It absorbs and filters pollutants from the rainwater, and like all green spaces, helps cool the environment around it. The roof's layer of plants and soil also help reduce the energy cost of our Grove Center by acting as natural insulation. Here's a little short video of the green features, including the solar on the roof of the Urban Grove Center. And this was taken just before we started construction on our new facility. Where those cars are parked in the lot back there is where the new building would find its home. So you can see, the rain garden there is flourishing. Our plants in the front, some beautiful lavender is doing great. And again, this is our little, when it's a nice sunny day, staff will come out onto that patio and have lunch or just hang out during the day. It's really a striking thing to see when you come in, and again, walking up to Capitol Roost for the first time, I loved it. And here's some actual rainwater going right into our cistern there, working as intended. So the expansion project, which again started in 2021, was the culmination of years of growth at Capitol Roots to provide a community-forward approach to healthy food access. We had outgrown our current space and hit a wall in service we could provide. When we would prepare food for our Squash Hunger program, which again works with local farms to bring local food into food pantries and shelters, we would fill our entire food hub up at the start of the week, and empty it by the end of the week, only to fill it up again the next Monday. And, there were some times, especially around the holidays or Thanksgiving, when we'd be turning sideways to walk through the pallets of food that we were shipping out. I have a quick following video from Leap Architecture, who is the firm that helped design some of the green features of the building. And I think it gives a great focus on, why we did some of these things and how they look today.
Focused on making fresh, healthy food accessible and affordable to everyone in our community, and also to building a robust regional food system. This facility has the combination of project. We really focused on sustainability as a really important piece of the building project. So when we met Leap Architecture and we knew that their mission and their vision was focused on sustainability, it was just a perfect marriage.
The main challenge of the project was trying to respond to this urban context. We have these public trends on the street, existing structure.
Several green gardens incorporated to the building. We have forest pavement around the building. And what that means is that we have zero runoff off of our site not into our sewer systems, which is so important in an industrial city.
I think probably the most important feature expansion is
design element, every redesign element, anything that we were looking to do, it was really right there, making recommendations and ultimately helping us bring our vision to life.
So the first portion of the new facility that I'd like to talk about is our expanded food hub. Like I said, we had basically run out of space in our original food hub, and this allows us to do so much more. We basically set out to have the highest level of food safety necessary so that we could serve institutional customers, especially local schools, with local farm products. We became certified by the USDA for good handling and good agricultural practices. And this certification, coupled with an expanded hub, ensured all institutions, from child care centers and soup kitchens to school districts and faith-based communities, are able to purchase from and support the regional farm economy. The Good Food Market, it's the public face of the Grow Center expansion, and it's our street level grocery. It's designed to better meet the needs of the surrounding food desert. The market's open design, accessible to people of all walks of life, offers affordable local fruits and vegetables all year long, as well as value-added products from our kitchen and other regional producers, in addition to local meat and dairy. By purchasing directly from our local farms, our product is higher quality and more affordable than pretty much anywhere else. I remember when I was first interviewing, I came in and a farmer basically walked in with a giant box of green onions just pouring out of the top. And as someone who loves to cook and loves to eat, I couldn't take my eyes off of them. I said, this is definitely someplace for me. The incubator kitchen, it's one of my favorite parts of the space. Basically, its intention was to give its users the tools, access, and ingredients they need to make local food everyone's food. We set out to make food business ownership open to anyone with determination and a good idea, to make local farm products the essential ingredients for their success, and to nurture the creation of quality goods that create quality jobs and support communities with equality of opportunity. And this is everyone's favorite part of the Grow Center tour, Eco Rich, our ginormous composter. It's one of, like I said, our favorite features of the new building, with the ability to convert 200 pounds of food waste into 20 pounds of compost in just 24 hours. It's just another step in our goal towards 100% efficiency. The compost is generally transported to our urban farm on 8th Street in Troy. And, food waste is something that we strive to reduce. It comes with the nature of work that we're in. There will always be potatoes that spoil or apples that don't make it. But, compared to the amount of food that big box stores basically waste or send to the landfill each week, that sends shivers up my spine. So the fact that we're able to handle basically all of our food waste and turn it into a product that is, not only useful, but it basically we're able to use the product from community partners and turn it into nutrient dense compost. And it's just so cool to see it working. So again, beyond the green features I've described, the real magic happens in the cycle that we've developed in our facility. When farmers arrive with fresh produce in the morning, that can be processed and provided directly to our kitchen users, shoppers in our market, or to our community partners. There's no warehousing, no cross-country trips. The carbon emissions are about as low as one could achieve. And one thing that I learned early on when I was working at Capital Roots was through our farm to school program, we provide local schools with local product. And we found out that there were school districts in our area ordering apples from out of state, from across the country. And, it just blew my mind that a product that is so readily available and beautiful from local farms they were buying West Coast apples. And, we were able to change that, which again, I think that's a really, really important fact and really exciting. Another aspect of Capital Roots is our Healthy Communities programs. Through our community gardens, our urban greening and healthy streets programs, we're working to implement green spaces that stay green and install features that make our communities more accessible to pedestrians and cyclists. We do a lot of tree plantings and bed plantings. Since the creation of our urban greening program in 1989, Capital Roots has planted tens of thousands of trees and implemented public landscaping projects throughout New York's capital region. Every spring and fall, we involve dozens of groups of volunteers, many of whom are high school students, in citywide tree planting projects. And we work on providing areas with greenery that will cool our cities and create green corridors for wildlife. Our urban greening projects are mostly grant funded, which makes it possible for Capital Roots to provide property owners with trees at no cost. Each year we work to not only beautify areas with native plants and shrubs, but also provide their benefits such as cleaning air and water pollution, reducing toxic runoff into local aquifers, and supporting our natural ecosystem. Anyone is welcome to apply for a tree planting, and from 2024 to 2025, we plan to root over 200 trees across the capital region. Our Healthy Communities programs expand into our Healthy Streets initiatives. Basically, we're creating communities with complete streets designed to accommodate the transportation needs of all residents, regardless of their method of travel. By increasing opportunities for improved transportation, our cities are becoming more accommodating, accessible, and safer places to live and work. We find areas with high pedestrian traffic, especially around schools and community centers, and work with cities to put in safety installations like bike lanes and crosswalks. We also have dozens of bike fix-it stations across the capital region, which I personally use myself and love to see when people are using them when I'm out and about. And we're currently working on about a half dozen creative crosswalks, which are installed to promote pedestrian safety and encourage drivers to be more careful when approaching intersections. I think we all know a little how crazy some people drive out there. So anything we can do to make pedestrians a little bit safer is a win in my book. And the last part of our Healthy Communities team also works with CHISC funding, which is creating healthier schools and communities through the Department of Health to provide enhancements for other nonprofit organizations. These are fridges that we donated to St. Paul's Food Pantry in Albany, and we just provided a brand new dishwasher and servingware for the Salvation Army in Schenectady. And the heart and soul of our organization are community gardens. With over 50 community gardens across the capital region, we provide plots and all the supplies gardeners need to ensure that anyone interested in growing their own produce can. We are currently in new gardener registrations and have around 1,000 individuals and families growing with us each year. That number keeps growing, and we always are looking for new spaces to grow and to place gardens. We transform neglected private and public land into vibrant food producing spaces that they beautify our cities, but are also, invaluable to the people who are growing their own food. These spaces are protected through our urban land trust, and these gardens will remain permanent green spaces in our community. We have some as small as a swimming pool and others bigger than a football field, and all of them are as unique as the people growing in them. And when I started, this was project the Morris Street Garden. Again, it was a empty and unused lot. And over the course of a few months and a lot of help from volunteers, we installed beds. And then the next season, you can see what a difference it makes. And, I just wanted to close by saying thank you for having me here. I could talk about Capital Roots for hours on end. I love this organization. And I think everyone here has probably felt the impact of rising food costs as we check out at the grocery store. It's a problem that will continue to grow, and our organization works every day to ensure that families can still afford or receive food, especially fresh local food, and always have green spaces in their communities. If you have the means to support our work, we appreciate it. If you have time to volunteer, we always need hands. And if you're able to even just spread the word about Capital Roots and the importance of our mission, that means the world to us. Again, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Mike, that was incredible. Let me ask if everybody could unmute themselves to ask questions. I think people are able to unmute themselves, even though I went through and muted them before it. And maybe if you stop screen, yeah, there we go. We can all see each other, and just go ahead and unmute yourself and let's have questions. Ing, did you want to start?
Well, I just unmuted myself, but I would like to know where the vegetable mobile comes in Schenectady, or do they have one that comes to Schenectady?
So we actually are working. So we do have, in the past, we've had, I think, 3 spots in Schenectady that our Vegemobile would go to, and a few more Sprout stops. They are all, I wish I could give you the names of the places offhand, but I'd be happy to share our schedule with you and let you know. They're mostly at elderly care facilities or at elderly living facilities in Schenectady. And I believe we had one down by Union Street or up Union Street. So I'd be happy to share that information now.
Yeah, I did look on your website, and I did not recognize any of those places on the website. So I was just wondering. But that could be my mistake. Don't spend any more time for my question. Listen to somebody else's.
I'd be happy to. I mean, I'll share out our schedule with Sarah after the call, and she can distribute it out to you.
Robert, you had a question?
Yes. In the past year, I came across, I have a house in Schenectady with a small yard, and mostly the back half has 6 to 8 foot tall goldenrod. And I've been gradually switching over to doing more gardening. In the past year, I came across the idea of forest gardening. And do you know, is there anyone in the area that's working on that notion? I understand it has to do with like complementary planting and putting things together so it like is essentially maintains itself, or with very little maintenance.
Yeah, and I've learned a wealth of knowledge about gardening just talking to some of our community gardeners, but our community gardens team they are master gardeners who know more than anyone else. If you would want to send any questions you have over to gardens@capitalroots.org, or just give us a call and they'd be happy to chat with you. I know it's actually gaining in popularity, and I know some people are doing it even with their plots themselves. So again, please feel free to reach out and with any questions you have. That's what we're here for. I think a lot of people, our motto is grow, educate, and provide. And a lot of people skip over on the educate, but we have, some of the staff here just has a wealth of knowledge. And we also have a plant sale coming up in May that, we have people who've been growing basically their whole lives for this plant sale. We have some of the most beautiful heirloom tomatoes you'll ever see, all sorts of, beautiful plants. So if you're interested in that as well, I'll have the information sent over afterwards.
Excellent. Helen, did you have a question?
I do, and you actually answered a lot of them from what you just said, but it just happened that I'm a Rotarian and in Scotia, Glenville area, and one of the gals in our club called at me and asked me who can help us with doing a garden. I guess their portion of the school started it, but now they don't. It just got out of control. Nobody knows what to do. So would this be something that your gardeners could help us with, like this year?
If we have the bandwidth for it. We actually just today we were over at Russell Sage College. They had a similar situation where one of the professors had started a garden there, and I believe they left and it had just gotten overtaken. And we went over and with a couple of excited students helped refresh the soil. They are ready to start some seedlings, but it's if there's an ability for us to do it, we'll definitely help out, especially if it's for a school or if there's students involved. That's I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think the students are handicapped or in the special ed program. So she was asking me, well, do you know anybody who can help me build beds? And I'm like, oh my God, he's just talking about that. And plants, they need help with what plants. So yeah, I'll definitely have her get in contact with your group, and hopefully they can help her, because she's like desperate. She's asking me, she's desperate.
Please reach out again. If there's a will, or there's a way, and I think that sounds like a project we'd love to help out with.
Great, thank you. I think Lon has a question too.
Yes, we have some funding for a climate type of project, which could be tree planting, or the kids that it's with the Niskayuna High School kids. And they were thinking of putting in a pollinator garden. But my question is this: would you have trees available if they decide to plant trees and within the next couple of months before school is all out?
So absolutely. The way that it works is we have a form basically you fill out on the website with location, a little description of the project, and then our team will either have you send us some pictures of the site, or we can work out what trees would be appropriate in that area depending on the shade and what they were looking for the project. But absolutely, sometimes the timeline is a little bit longer, depending on when we can order our trees or get them in. But we could definitely, if you submit through our form, we could definitely entertain and give you all the information that we can.
And since the kids have some funding, even if you couldn't provide the trees in time, just knowing what type of tree.
Yeah.
And advice on planting so that the plants will be successful, so that the following year they won't be just dead sticks, and anything like that would be very helpful.
Well, that still happens in my garden sometimes, but absolutely, we'd be happy to help.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Another source might be the Saratoga Tree Nursery that's undergoing their seedling sale currently, very low prices. You might want to look into that.
What was that one?
The Saratoga Tree Nursery.
Okay, yeah, I know where that is, yeah.
They're a wonderful resource, and we do source our trees from them from time to time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was, sorry, go ahead, Robert.
yeah, no, I was gonna ask, is there coordination with the in Schenectady, there's the Roots and Wisdom program with Cornell Cooperative Extension is one of the things I'm interested in, global warming and environmentalism, and ecos in the area, it is part of the function is to coordinate. I guess the basic of the question is coordination of the different programs that are similar in some ways, and is there work on that?
So I don't believe I'm not familiar myself with Roots and Wisdom, but pretty much every project that we try and dip our toes into or get involved with, it's with community partners, it's with groups of volunteers. I think it's just makes everything easier if you have an extra set of hands around. And I'd be happy to look into Roots and Wisdom, and any projects that you have focus on, or you are looking for a little help. We have great groups of volunteers, and I think there's always opportunities to create some new partnerships.
Yeah, because another one that I haven't looked into at all, but I had a couple of trees that I had to take down, and I know there was an organization called Re-Tree Schenectady that has to do with planting trees in the neighborhood, and but I haven't gotten in touch with them yet. And see, that's the thing, is learning who's doing what and what would be the best direction to go.
Robert, if you go back on our website and look at old recordings, one of our speakers was Re-Tree.
Yeah.
And I want to say she spoke back in November, but I'm getting my year. I'm thinking, was that this November last? But anyway, the recording should be on there, and you can get a lot of information about who she is and how to contact her.
And will they also be at our at the Vale Park event?
That's true.
Arbor Day.
Yes, we're having an Arbor Day from 5 to 7 on, what day is that? April 26th out at Vale Farm, and her name's Betsy Henry, and she will be there at that along with ECOS and several other organizations.
Vale Park.
So I was especially that building, oh my gosh, Leap Architecture, you said, were they the lead project manager on building this?
Yes. So we provided our vision, and it's gone through many different forms over the years. We've taken stuff away and added things in, but they were able to make sure that our facility had the green features we were looking for, and could operate basically as a enclosed system where the food would come in and we could process it and get it out to the community all under one roof. And, they've been just a tremendous partner in making this all happen.
And they are based out of Schenectady, is that right? Or
I believe it could be Schenectady County. I think so.
okay, they're local anyway, but the reason I'm asking is you might know that we are in midst of converting an old building in Central Park called Seek, and we're working with a bunch of other partners like Scary River Center and others. And of course, no need to reinvent the wheel. We need to talk with them about some of this wonderful stuff they did, from the porous asphalt right to the green roofs and solar array panels and everything else.
Yeah, again, I'd be happy to connect you. They were fantastic. And, I think finding people who kind of share the same vision that you do, there are plenty of people out there who will just build it as cheap as you can and just try and get it done. But Leap really, they cared about the build, which is really hard to come by these days.
We have some other questions?
This isn't a question, Sarah, but there's another source that's going to be coming up. Someone mentioned the Cornell Cooperative Extension Program in Schenectady, and there's going to be an annual plant sale at the Sustainable Center in Central Park on May 10th and 11th with affordable plants that they've grown in the greenhouse.
Oh, fantastic. Good. We'll have to get that posted too on our site with other regional events. Oh, I'm always amazed with how many different facets that Capital Roots is involved with and does well. I had no idea that you did the tree planting and the crosswalks and the safe streets and all that as well. So really impressive.
Yeah, it's something that, some people just know us as Capital District Community Garden still, and, trying to give a 30-second talk on the organization is near impossible. So I really appreciate having this long form discussion. I mean, I didn't even hit on all the stuff we're doing and looking to do, but, I think it's important. And, a lot of the work, it has a lasting impact for years, if not decades to come. So really, really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Helen, did you have another question?
I did. What was the name of the architectural firm?
Leap, L-E-A-P, architecture.
What was the first letter?
L.
L.
Leap, like a jump?
Exactly, yes.
L-E-A-P. So, are you a teacher at the high school by chance? Helen, I forgot the name of your husband.
Lon. He has done some volunteer work. He has done some volunteer work at the school in Lincoln School.
Okay. We're hoping to connect more and get more volunteers from the high school. That's why I was asking. Well, so many things to think about, and I think we will try and get in touch with you and have a tour of this great facility and see a little more of what you do and how we might cooperate with you and collaborate.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We have a great group of volunteers, and, if there's any projects that you have coming up, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think there's always power in numbers, and, we may be busy, but we're always looking to expand.
Well, thank you. That was really inspiring. Just great. The next speaker, it's always the third Thursday, so that will be the third Thursday of April, and I don't even have the date in front of me, but watch out for your MailChimps, check your spam folders, and you'll have all the information about that coming up. All right, thanks so much, Mike. That was really informative.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, I didn't do a thing, but thank you, Mike. Good night.